So Shayna kind of reached out, didn't I, to put the word out. Anybody who wanted to sort of volunteer to share their story. And you got back to me, and I'm really pleased that you're here because it's somebody else doing good things in the area, which I've never met before as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm intrigued to see and hear about your journey. So what? Let's start with why did you start? Not a statistic.
So, Not a Statistic came from me struggling with my own mental health and isolating myself off. I think there was a lot going on a couple of years ago when I did start it. I think I'd reached out to Andy's Man Club. I'd gone to Space Northeast, and that's how I knew about yourself from James. And I think it is I'd went to their groups and stuff in an evening because I had nowhere to go, and because I'd gotten used when I'd been off work, I'd go to groups during the day, so like Sunderland Mind and things, in Veterans in Crisis, because I'm a Navy veteran as well, and so I used to go there, but then on an evening there was absolutely nothing. The NHS does nothing on an evening unless you want to ring the crisis team, and I mean, back then you didn't. I think things are different now, but I'd been working as a support worker in NHS for a few years, realised how much a little support there was in Houghton, in Washington and Sunderland in general. And I'd started going to the groups, and there was a lot of discussions around, as we're leaving, people saying, oh, I wish there was somewhere like this for my missus to go to. And it kind of clicked in my head, and I was like, do you know, why does it need to be separated? It doesn't, because as a male support worker, and in NHS I'd work with female patients, and female support workers, and mostly female support workers would work with males. So we can have conversations, open conversations around our lived experience, around things that are going on. And I think it's kind of one of those things where we can. And I think I'd already knew that the Beacon of Light had space and the foundation were looking for someone else to do it. And so I ran some pilot sessions myself, and off we went. And we're in August, it'll be 2 years since we started doing sessions. So I think for us, now it's moved away from the mental health as much. It's still about suicide prevention, and we do things like safety planning, but it's about social isolation. People isolate themselves through daft reasons sometimes. Might not seem daft at the time. It might be that, I don't know, you fell out with your mum and you don't speak to her for a couple of years. Like, you might be that you've had a bereavement. It might be the fact that you're running low in finances and you're really struggling with it and you don't know who to talk to. Like, come along, have a chat with us. It's completely free. Free tea, coffee. We've got the best biscuits in town. I'll keep saying that until I'm dead. I think it's a really easy thing that we can do to support, and for people to come and have a space to talk about how their week's been, and how they're feeling. Because that did come from it. It used to be that we'd start with, oh, how's this week gone? How's next week looking? Like, we'd go around the room. But then one of my friends, who went to Space and went to this group, he'd said, but I don't have to tell you how I'm feeling. And I was like, all right, I've got you. So the next week I was like, so how's your week been, mate? How are you feeling? And that was it. And it's changed now. So we're talking more about our feelings, about how it makes you feel. We do things like having questions at the end where it seems it's a lighter question, but it's not. It's things like, if there was a book written about your life, what would the title be? And it's just getting people thinking about like our life. Or a really good one that I think is really effective is, if you could describe your mood as a weather condition. So if it was stormy, it was sunny, however, and I get some of the maddest answers to that. But I think sometimes I can look at someone and think, oh, do you know what, he's struggling a little bit this week? And he'll be like, oh, I'm sunny. And I'm going, what? Fuck off. I was saying, it takes me a little bit, and I think it is very much it's very easy to do. We now have, like, from next week, we'll have 3 groups a week. We've got funding for another 3. But it's about trying to find places now that have got a little bit of a community sense already, because we're finding it easier to get people in. And so the next one will probably, because we've got the Beacon of Light, the old rectory in Houghton, and then Washington, the Millennium Centre. But then the next one's probably going to be Rye up at a boxing gym, and we just spoke to them yesterday. They need a group. And I was like, I'll come, no bother, done. And I think he was a bit taken aback on the phone. That it was that simple. And he's like, oh, well, I'll give you a room for free. And I went, I've got funding, mate. I could pay for the room, but I'm not. Like,
It sounds like there's definitely a great need for that kind of stuff. And when I came in here, the two ladies who let me in the room, I mentioned the interviewing who it was that I'm going to be interviewing and what you actually do. And they both said, I think there should be more for men on mental health in the area. And I'm thinking, because I've known and talked to a lot of the groups as well, and they seem like yourself, you're creating something that there's a lack of. And you coming from an NHS background and supporting background, which is what your job is, to create one yourself, it's a little bit mind blown as well, Shane. It's really sort of, it's, if you look at it, you go, you left the thing that you got paid to do because you wanted to help people in a better way or a bit more flexible way,
Yeah,
I think is the thing, or a faster way. What is it?
like, I don't want to turn it into like a hate thing about like the NHS, but I think it is very much. It's all very. There's a lot of barriers to supporting someone. It can be whether you're under that team. It can be if you're got a set diagnosis. It can only be seen by certain clinicians. There's obviously massive waiting lists, and that was pre-COVID. And I think it is the bit of it that even when you get through to the support, a lot of people I was seeing, they'd already kind of figured things out themselves. And they'd already came up with their own coping methods, albeit some of them had really bad coping methods like drugs and drinking stuff or self-harming and stuff, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not me dissing anyone who self-harms, because they do it for a reason and it's that release that they're trying to get. But I mean, it is, I think for me, I spent far too long fighting conflict of interest arguments in NHS, even though the trust that I worked for don't do any evening support groups. And that's what our core business is evening support groups.
So how long did you work for the NHS, Shane?
It would have been 3 years I would have done. I only left about a month ago now. And through my own diagnoses, because I have ADHD, I'm autistic, I've had a depression diagnosis since I was 12, which is kind of mad thinking back on it. For me, I had to leave the job I was doing because my ADHD meds were stopped because of a shortage. And I'd gotten withdrawals, but nobody told me it was withdrawals. I started hearing voices, which was, being a mental health support worker is scary, especially when you work with people who have a psychosis.
Yeah, you're trying to support somebody and you're suffering from symptoms that they suffer from.
And it's like, and I think for me, it was like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, and I didn't know what to do with it. And the voices were not nice. And I realized they were my own voices, just in different tones and stuff. And they were telling me to kill myself and like, I'm better off not here. And I used to get those thoughts anyway. I have suicidal thoughts. It's kind of one of my main things I have is I get them regularly, suicidal thoughts. But it just got to a point where I was really struggling and I was off on the sick. I barely had any contact from work. And the only consistency I had at the time, I was really lucky. I was doing a course to the North East BIC, setting this up, a veterans program with Anne McDermott and John Forth. And that was the only consistency I had in a routine. I was doing that every week for 12 weeks. And I was focusing on this. And I've now realised through talking with John at length about it that my purpose is the reason I'm happy. So the reason I have a purpose in my life is the reason I am happy. So my purpose could be the fact that I've got a job, my kids, this, running, not Statistic. It is a passion of mine. And he does like a wheel of life thing where it's like different categories and you have to score how you score your life in it. So there's different things like financially, personal relationships, work, and then like purpose. And my purpose was a 10. I'm going, do you know what? I'm where I need to be. Like I haven't been paid by Not Statistic yet. And I think that's something that I'm working towards. But I think it is very much that, I think for me, it's a very easy thing for me to do, to run a peer support group. And albeit it's bloody hard sometimes, and I regret my life choices. Every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 6 months, I'd easily say every Tuesday and Thursday I regret my life choices. And as much as I love the groups and I love helping the people and having the outcomes that we have, I think still it's hard But I'm really lucky the people I've got around me, that I've got I've got 6 directors, but I've got 3 that have come on recently, as in the past couple of weeks, and they're going to become facilitators for the groups. And so I'm going to, in a couple of weeks' time, I'm not going to have a group, which to me is scary. And I mean, I'm going to be setting up Rye Up, and I'm going to be setting up Coxo, and I'm going to be doing Hendon probably, and doing one in Thorny Close apparently as well from today. But I think, like, for me, it is that setting up the groups is really simple. Manage them's a little bit harder, because volunteers are volunteers at the end of the day. Like, you can't, as much as I 100%, I got taught from my volunteering time started at like Veterans in Crisis, and Claire works there, she said to me, your time is the most valuable resource that you give us. And I tell that to all my volunteers. Your time is the most valuable resource that you have for me. In the fact that you give your time free.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, finding the right people to do it, in knowing if it's the time to step away, because some have had to step away in things, and it's hard, don't get me wrong. I think it's hard when the people step away, but then sometimes one door closes and one door opens, and I think I'm very much about that. I think.
Yeah, I think it's tough when you're starting something from scratch on your own, because you're the driving force and you have the passion, and you have to move this thing forward. But at some point in time, you have to not be there constantly all the time, because you can't. You'd have to clone yourself to be honest, and to do all the things that you need to do. But it's really hard to step away, because it gives you so much purpose of what you do. So, is that always been a hard thing for you to do? Do you find yourself all in or nothing?
Yeah, I think so. I think because I think it's a factor of my ADHD, where I flit in and out of things. This is probably the most consistent thing I've done in my life in a very long time. I think I did 7 years in the Navy. I left essentially because I was bored. It was dead man shoes, the branch I was in, so I had to wait for basically someone to leave before I could get promoted. And I got bored. I hid behind it saying it's because I wanted to have a family and stuff, and I wanted to meet someone, and I did. But then that became my focus. And I mean, it's probably a deeper story, that one, but it turned into a bit of a domestic abuse situation for me, where I was very controlled and financially controlled for years. And I was married for 12 years. And I think, and I have 2 fantastic kids out there, and don't get me wrong, is I have 2 fantastic boys, love them to bits, have 50-50 custody, and so that's another thing that I do. But it's very much, I'm about, not a statistic. What I want to come from this is that we have not a design agency as well, which helps people set up their businesses. So setting up branding, websites, social media and stuff. And we're doing it at low cost to help them. Basically the stuff I had to do in the beginning, and showing them how to do it cost effectively and easily. But then I want my sons to be able to do it. They both can code websites just as well as I could do, and they're only 9 and 10. So I think it's for me, they're both neurodivergent as well. So they're not going to survive in mainstream the whole time in mainstream schools. So I think it's, for me, I'm finding a path for them as well, which is fab. And I think it's a legacy that I spoke about that with John as well, about trying to make a bit of a legacy for my boys.
So I want to spin this right back, Shane. Who were you as a kid? What was your life like as a kid? What was the family dynamic?
I mean, my dad worked night shift in the shipyards. That was kind of how I remembered. He was always on night shift. He was a crane driver. And I'd see him, and it was really good quality time. Like, my dad, I love him to bits. Like, whenever he was home, he was home. He didn't have a life outside the home, as in he didn't really see mates, he didn't go out drinking, didn't any of that. When he was home, he was home. And I knew that I could go and sit with him and get a cuddle, and we'd do daft things like making up songs and stuff, and I had that from him. But my mother, on the other hand, it's a bit harder. She was quite detached, and I relied on my nan for the maternal side of things.
Okay.
I was bullied from a pretty young age in school. Struggled with social interaction. Never understand that it should have probably been an Asperger's diagnosis I got, not depression. But because my mum would take me to speech and language, they ruled it out. And
So were you kind of a shy kid, or were you just
I
sort
think,
of into different things than other kids?
yeah, I doubted myself, and that's very much the ADHD side of it. And I was struggling to get into things, and like I was quite good at football, I'd say, but then I wasn't as good as the other kids, and that's all we really did in Aberdeen was play football. And I think it's like
And what's that feeling like when you think, oh, I'm good at this, but I'm not as good as everybody else? What's that feeling like of you going,
it
it's more
hurt.
like a rejection, and it's like, I'm not good at this as well?
It's like I played for a football team for I think it was like 3 years, and I'd been on the pitch twice. I'd been a sub every game, and like I think it's like that was hard. I felt the rejection of it, that like the fact that I wasn't able to go on the field, and I was basically just playing about in the pitch next to it for the whole time. It was 2 years I played for that team.
It's almost like worse than not playing at all, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I'd rather they said I wasn't on the team.
Yeah.
And eventually they did say that because like I'd started having outbursts and stuff, and I'd started being more aggressive about the fact that I wasn't going to play. And I was visibly getting annoyed. And so it became that they cancelled my contract because we had like a mini contract, and then like they cancelled it. And I remember crying my eyes out. I remember it, and I think it's my mum had done the usual thing of boys don't cry and that, so I'd hidden myself away, and my dad came and sat down with us and that, and he went off and he was kicking off on the phone with the manager and stuff, and like there's obviously nothing he could do about it.
But your dad was there to support you, so
Yeah, it was, and I think it was good that. But then I think we weren't the family who used to say, "We love you," or "I love you" on the phone, and or like we'd give each other a hug and that, saying bye and stuff. But like we'd never say "I love you," and it wasn't till my mother died that we'd started saying it. And so I'd started saying it to my dad, and it's really uncomfortable to start with, and my sister as well, and really uncomfortable because my sister's younger than me as well. And I think it was really uncomfortable. And I think, but now it's like it's a second thing now. I say to my dad all the time, I love him. Although when I'm struggling, I do disconnect from him. As in, I'll isolate myself. I'll not ring him because I know he'll know. And he's up in Aberdeen still. And he's retired now, bless him, and he gets himself climbing up the hills and everything and off all over the place. But like, I know he's good. I know he's good. But like, he rung us the other day because his gearbox had gone in his car. And nothing, it's the first time he's had to deal with something like that because he's worked in oil like for the remainder of his life. So he's used to having a steady income, and now he's retired, he's going, the fuck do I do? And I'm like, I was like, Dad, there's nothing I can do from here. I was like, you have to go and see one of your mates that's got a garage, like see if there's out what he can do. And then it turns out my sister knows someone, and so she's sorting out for him and that. And so I think it's like, I'm detached a little bit, I think, from that. And I think it is it's hard. I think my mum, we never had a relationship where she was loving towards me. It was very much she was in front of people, but then there was a darker side to it where I was in the house with her by myself, and
behind closed doors is different. Showing having a front when you're outside,
she'd dump me at my grandparents' house or dump me at my nan's house, and after school I'd go to my nan's house instead of coming home, and she didn't work. And like for me, I didn't really understand it back then, but then now I do. It's because she didn't want to deal with me. And like I stole my first car when I was 12, and that was very much me trying to fit in.
Okay.
And that was with my bullies.
Wrong crowd.
Yeah, wrong crowd. Lads who had been to primary school with and stuff, and they were friends at primary school, but they turned into my bullies. And I was trying to fit in, and we'd gone and tried to rob a car, and I remember it was a good decision, as in I got caught. And because I was sat there focused looking at the bloke's CD tape collection in the passenger seat, because my mate said he could order a car, he couldn't. And I was going through this tape collection and that, but then I'd stolen my dad's tools from his shed, and I didn't know the importance of these tools to him at that point. If I'd known that then, I would not have touched them. But he'd gotten them from his stepdad, it was a family friend anyway, but he considered him like a dad to him essentially. And it was these carpentry tools in like an old school drill and stuff like that, hand crank drill and stuff. And so I'd stolen them out of the shed, and obviously they'd been taken by the police, and he wasn't getting them back. And that was the first time I'd disappointed him. It was definitely a conversation in the car after he got me from the cells the day after, because he left me in the cells at night as well, at 12, and then like getting all the stuff done, like getting your fingerprints done and that, and like getting, like taking your laces out your trainers and out your joggers and that, and the joggers I begged to get, and that, and I think it was like and I was the only one that was caught. And then because they put two and two together, that it was my group of friends that I normally hang around with, and one of them grassed on the rest, they thought it was me that grassed, and it became another reason why I was bullied. And I think I think for me, but then it saved me because a lot of those people have been to prison now, and or they're involved with drugs, and like they're not having the greatest of lives. And I think if I'd stayed in that crowd, there's a part of me thinks I'd definitely be locked up by now. I would have had at least a instant in jail.
Do you ever think that you're the kind of person who things happen to you, like the bad things happen to you all the time? Have you ever had that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think.
Are you aware of that though? Shane?
Oh, I am now. I think it's. I think I used to be very doom and gloom and very like, a rule of three thing was a big thing I had in my head, that if there's something that goes wrong, it's another two. And then I'd be waiting for the other penny to drop. And we talk about it a lot in James's group, and I talk about it in my group, that sometimes I'll be okay and nothing bad's happened. And I'll be sat there waiting for the penny to drop. But now I live by a mantra now. I laugh at where I heard it, but I heard it on British Maths Married at First Sight. This laddie'd said, be where your feet are. And it clicked. And so I've got it on some of my merch and stuff now that it's like basically being where your feet are. So not thinking too far ahead, not thinking too far back in the past.
Being present, isn't it?
Yeah, it is present in the situation. And I think for me, it's 100% where I am surviving. And I think, don't get me wrong, there's some things that happen in my life that set me back. Like, you wouldn't think of sitting talking to me now, but this week my girlfriend broke up with me of 2 years via text. And I think it's like, there's a longer story behind that. But then I think it's like, I've kind of let go. You know what I mean? I've gone, do you know what? There's now what I can do. I can't force her to be with me. Like, I'm going to move forward. And I've got this to think about. I've got my kids to think about at the end of the day. And I'm far too busy to be worrying about the fact that someone who I loved is sent me a text message at 7 o'clock in the morning to break up with us. Like, I think it's a bit hard.
It is. That's very hard, Shane, because you're thinking like you could go down that spiral of why me and looking in the threes again. But I think the threes are always going to happen because you could divide anything into threes, if you know what I mean. So because something else is going to happen next week, and it's not thinking about that, and you're going to deal with things every single day. Accept that something wrong is going to happen all of the time. But for me, it's a learning curve. And I always say the bad things that happen to you are always the good stories you tell later on. So there's a positive spin on bad stories, because you never tell the good things that happen to you. You always tell the bad ones. And you got to either find the funny in it or just find the kind of, I don't know, the sense of like, all right, okay, move on from it, you know?
I think definitely. I think I'm very much about finding the humour in it. I mean, I'm struggling a little bit with this situation. But I think for me, like, I went, like, she'd packed my stuff up within 2 days. And like, so I went and picked my stuff up, and we weren't really living together. I just had some stuff of hers. And then I went to pick it up, and it was just so cold. I was like, do you know what? I'm not. I can't be bothered. And then I hadn't cried or anything. I used to be a crier. Used to cry all the time, especially it was harder when people told me not to. But then I think I've really struggled with it. I haven't cried over the situation because we've been on a break for like 2 weeks, and I haven't cried about it. And I'm thinking, do you know what? And I've sometimes sat there thinking, why am I not crying? And just didn't really get it. But after I picked my stuff up, I was going to the Houghton session, and I'd pulled up in the car park, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to text her. I was going to text her and say, like, thank you. So I texted her just saying thank you for the 2 years. I've had some really memories. I'm going to hold on to them. And like, I do love you, but I understand that you don't want to be with me, and I'm not going to hold you to it. And I hope you find someone who gives you what you need. And then I just started crying. And I was like, all right, okay. So it was a little bit of a release, but I think it's where little things like that, if I find myself in crisis, I'll find myself like in a crisis situation, because I have been recently in the past year or so. I've done it a couple of times where I've rung a crisis team. I'll go down to Roker and I'll write myself a letter. So it's kind of like an empty chair thing. So it's where you'd write a letter to someone else, but I write a letter to myself about all the good things, the things I need to remember, that this will be okay. This too shall pass. Like it's something that James says all the time, and I fucking hate it. But I think it is the bit of it that not everything's permanent and everything changes. And I saw recently, I'd never seen it before properly, the circle of change, but in the middle of it is a spiral. And for me, I'm holding on to that now, that I'm always in a spiral. But then it's the circle of change. Things change all the time. It changes life, like at the end of the day.
I think it's just the ability to get through something.
Oh yeah.
And I think the more you go through things, the more you get used to it. I'm not going to say it's any easy, because it's not. Because as you get older, I think you just have the more dense these problems,
Yeah.
because the big boy problems now, the adult problems now, and you've got to hold face, you've got to kind of carry the backpack, you've got to do the family, do the friends, do the thing, do the job, keep the money coming in. And there is squeezing that diamond, do you know what I mean? It's almost, at breaking point, pressure cooker, whatever you want to stick an analogy on top of, right? And it is difficult. Shane, honestly, I see it every day. I'm the same. I can be happy at the top of the stairs and be cheesed off by the time I get to the bottom, because my brain has thought about 50 different things by the time I've got down to those 13, 14 steps.
Yeah.
This is the majority of people, I'm finding, and especially with certain ways of thought.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it can be having too much going on. So I can become really overstimulated, and I've just got far too much going on in my head. And as much as I can write it down, I'll forget where I've written it down. And until I can resolve it in my head a little bit, get a little bit of the weight off it, I'll be in a daze. Really, I'll be walking about in a daze, and I'll struggle to sleep. I was up till 3 o'clock this morning. Like I'd gone to bed, and I'd done what I'd normally try to do, is I'll get back up again, because I couldn't sleep. So I got back up, went and made myself a cup of tea. And went and watched some daft YouTube stuff, and then I'd gone back to bed at 3, and then they started doing some roadworks outside the house at 8 o'clock, and I was like, great. I was like, so.
But it's I completely, I understand what you're saying, because sometimes, you can't do anything about that, but lots of people lie in bed stewing, going, getting angry because they can't sleep. Well, I tell you what, that isn't going to help your situation. So change the situation by going, I'll just go and sit downstairs and whatever. You have to understand, write the night off, write the sleep off. You're going to be tired, accept that, but you'll catch up tomorrow. There's another day, so don't stress too much about
Definitely,
it.
I think there is a small sample. There's quite a large number of people coming to the group, including me, who we lived with insomnia for years, and we'd maybe get 2 or 3 hours if we're lucky. And I'd become to think that me getting 4 hours sleep was good, and that wasn't me. I was just not realizing that was me just being exhausted, done in. And I think if I'd been in the relationship I was in, and I'd gotten out of bed, I'd have been getting questioned to death about getting out of bed, and I would have got things thrown at me like, "Oh, well, I'd be stressed that you're going to leave the house and you're going to go or whatever." So I'd have to stay in bed, and it is the worst place I can be if I'm not able to sleep. But then I think this morning, one of the things I did is just put ocean wave sounds on, and buddy Alexa just threw it on, and then I managed to get to sleep, and I think I'd managed to reset enough that I managed to, and I think, but then I don't know, it wasn't anything to do with anxiety about coming here and doing this or going to see the funders and stuff I've been to today, because I do that all the time. I think it's just I had that much in my head that I just couldn't switch off, and sometimes I am my own worst enemy when it comes to that and picking up too much. But then that's where I've got people in my corner who very much, in the WhatsApp group, I'd sent a picture of the place I was going to this morning for the staff, and I'd said, "Oh, I'm going in here, wish us luck." And they're all, "You've got it. Don't worry, you've got it." And someone had said, "Oh, it's fine if you don't get it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Just as you're talking there, Shane, I'm thinking of athletes.
Yeah.
Athletes have a team behind them. They have somebody who actually cooks the food, tells them what to do, turn up for the training, and they just turn up and do the thing, right? If that's acceptable for them, why is it not acceptable for us in everyday life, to have that support there and not have the pressure of being the best at everything?
Oh yeah, and I think it's people you surround yourself with, because I think it is very much what is it like? I've heard people say a lot, and I think it's very true that try and surround yourself with the people that if you're not in the room, they'll talk about you. They'll put you up for a scenario. So I surround myself with business owners like James and Zoe from Weights and Cakes and all the lads from the BIC. Like, I surround myself with them because I know for a fact that if I'm not in the room and something comes up, they'll mention me. And it's an exact reverse. Like, I was talking about James with Thunders today, and like I was talking about Zoe, and like as soon as I know that it's not an issue, avenue for me, or even if there is, I'll bring it along, because I'm not about competition, I'm about collaboration. And that's very much the reason I set up in the Beacon, because Andy's Man Club in there, George, who ran the club then, and James, we were very much about collaborating, not about competition. They are my biggest supporters. And so, like, the Andy Man's club in Houghton as well is my biggest supporters, run by the same person. But it's very much that, like, it doesn't have to be a competition. Like, end of the day, Andy Man's a massive charity. They don't need the funding that I need. Like, the funders I go to, and James, he gets his funding from other ways, and he has donors and stuff, and he doesn't have to go through the avenues I go through. But even if we do, there's plenty of money to go around, really. It's not normally a situation of we're put against each other. It's normally a situation that we're there together, and they're looking at us improving the area.
I mean, it's in business, it's so easy to think like that, because like it's a scarcity mindset, isn't it? But I think when everyone's supporting each other, you're not using wasted energy on stressing about things going away. You're actually using your energy on making things better and improving it. And if everybody thought like that, you could actually help each other out.
Yeah.
Like you said, there is plenty to go around, and there's plenty of, you all do different things as well. So that's the thing there.
Yeah, we do. And I think it's like, we all have our brackets. I suppose my brackets are much bigger than others, I think because I cover everybody. Like, I don't care. And like, I think it is but then obviously there's a reason that the other groups and stuff focus in on certain areas, because men's mental health, it is a massive issue. And Andy's Man Club does completely different things with the lads who go there to what I do. And me and James, our kind of patterns are kind of the same, as in what we do, talking, the way we talk and stuff and things. But obviously he's focused on men's mental health, and I'm just focused on everybody's. And I think it is but then that isn't a slight on what James does, or a slight on what I do. I think it's very much like, I think I'm just there. Like, I think that I love supporting people in what they do. And like today, I was talking about you and coming and doing this interview and stuff, and I was talking to other people about it and stuff, and some fantastic people who should come and have a chat, because I think like there's a lot of good people in Sunderland doing a lot of good things.
Yeah, I mean, this is how this is kind of going as well. You know, I ask people, would you recommend somebody to share their story? I mean, yesterday I have already got 3, and there's another 2 next week. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of grows for a reason of, that's great, that's an interesting story. Would you like to share it? There's lots of people who really want to, but they're not in that space yet, so they can't share it.
Yeah.
But they might get to that point, you know. And I do think this is so important, because I do think regular folk want to see regular people talking about regular problems.
Yeah,
I really do. You know?
And I think it is. I think it can be the little things, you know what I mean? I think I was talking to someone from theatre space, and I just dropped into the conversation about the fact that my girlfriend had broken up with me. And I was like, she broke up with me, and like, it threw my head for a wobble this week, but I'm still running the groups, and I'm still there, and I'm telling the groups as well, you know what I mean? I'm just being honest. You know what I mean? I'm not doing great. Like, it's like, you don't have to be perfect or have a brilliant day every day. Not everybody, it's not all the Pinterest mams, you know what I mean? It's not, everybody's life is bits of it you don't show, and there's bits of it that can be harder, but then I think it is, through having a community you can go and talk to, 100% makes things a little bit easier. If you haven't got family in the area, or if you haven't got friends, you know what I mean? It's like, come along and find some, you know what I mean? Find your people. It's like one of the things I've said. It's like, I think it is, it's very much it's just giving you a space, even if it's just you want to come once and just say something in a room and get a little bit of support, because we'll never laugh. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we will laugh if it's fucking funny. But like, if it's something that you're really struggling with, they won't laugh at you. You know what I mean? And it's like, we'll support you. And then, like, hopefully you'll be a little bit easier to tell someone else about it. And I think it is that. I think it can be it can be really hard, some of the things that we lock away and we don't talk about. And don't get me wrong, we're only there 2 hours a night and we're not opening the massive chests or freezers of all the stuff we've locked away. We're not doing that. Like, it's very much on the surface and it's trying to make things all right.
I do think talking to people you've never met before, going to groups, meeting new people, I think it's easier to kind of open up to those other than family, because I think it's really tough with family because there's already preset judgment of who you are because they've known you for quite a long time. And if things are changing within yourself, but you don't want to show that, I think you need to go somewhere else to kind of vent that kind of thing and open up.
I think that's one thing we do at the groups. We don't really advertise like I do, because I advertise that I'll meet with anyone like before the groups, or I'll meet with them. Like, I met with someone for the Washington group, it starts next Wednesday. I met her last week at a cafe and just had a chat with her just to like ease her into coming to the group because she wasn't sure about her coming. She's getting counselling from one of our mates. So he'd suggested the group, so I went and met her. And so she's going to come next Wednesday. And then it's having that conversation, whereas James will do it on the night. So when people come, he'll have a conversation with beforehand and a little bit about who he is, why he started Space. Andy's Man Club, they'll do the same. They'll explain exactly how it's going to go. And then I do the same. It's kind of like I'll just do it as a general thing in the group, really, and make sure that they're welcome and they understand. And I'll never go to them first. Like, we'll never go to the new person first. We'll go around. I always go to like a volunteer or something first, and they hate it. And I hate it more when they throw it back at me and go, no, we'll go with you first. And it throws me off massively. They've like doing it at the minute because I have got a little bit going on. And I'm going, no, we're going. Like, we're going. I think it is. But I think it is. I think the groups themselves, I wouldn't be here without Space in Andy's Man Club. I wouldn't.
Really?
I really wouldn't. I didn't have... When I first went to Space, I was living on my ex-partner's sofa and didn't have anywhere to go. My mum was dying. I knew I had to go up and deal with that. And I ended up going up, it was maybe a month or so later, I ended up going up to my mum's. And then my ex fell for divorce whilst I was up there. Really? Yeah. And then it was, she'd packed up all my stuff and stuff like that, and put it all in the kitchen and stuff while I wasn't there. And I think there was a lot of stuff going on, and it all could have thrown me over the edge.
There's a lot of stuff to kind of pack in at the same time, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was struggling a bit in work, trying to keep things going. And I think it was, and I hadn't even started this yet. And I think it was like, I didn't know what to do with it. And I'm really impulsive with my ADHD, and it terrifies me, that side of it. And I think it is the bit of it that it is really hard. But then I'd rather someone comes and talks to me than I have to go to their funeral. And I hear people say that all the time. But then I'd rather you come and talk to me than one of your relatives or one of your friends or the first responder that had to go. I'd rather you come and talk to me. It is genuinely that. It's that simple. It was a study done years ago where they said that when you commit suicide, it affects 6 people. It's wrong. They did research straight away, and they went, on average, 132 people, that one person's death. Right. So you're talking morticians, first responders, family, friends, the vicar who has to do your sermon. There's 132 people on average. That's a hell of an imprint to leave. And to think that then those people, the majority of my board are on board with me doing this because they've got people who committed suicide in their lives. And I think that is the hard thing for me. And I'm never going to get to that point now because I've seen the failed attempts and the people that make their lives so much worse. And I think I was having a conversation today with someone about it. Was a young lad who jumped from the bridge not long ago. He was in the water for 45 minutes, went in the hospital because they got him out. Nothing wrong with him, he was a gym goer and that. He was back in the next day with stress fractures, basically every bone in his body. And that's his life massively impacted for good, potentially. It's going to take years to repair. And that was over something minor. The catalyst of why he did it, and people who take paracetamol, they don't understand it's the most horrible way you can go. It's a long death. And it's not, I think it's not quick. And like, I think for me, we don't talk about it enough, the failed attempts. And the amount of people who attempt suicide, it's not really recorded nowadays.
Did this lad have regrets from doing that?
Oh yeah, every single person that I talk to who has attempted suicide, their kind of last minute thought was, oh fuck. Like there was a lad that I know that comes to the groups, his neck was in the noose, and he'd kind of stumbled, and he didn't end up in the noose, but he thought, oh fuck. And then he survived it, obviously.
That's so the kind of thing.
And like it's like I don't know. For me, it's a very quick response to something. Yeah. But then the other response is just ring the fucking crisis team. Mm-hmm. They used to be shit. Don't get me wrong, in certain areas they are, but the one in Sunderland and stuff now, they're really good. They're really good at what they do. They're really good at talking to you, trying to deflect and think about something else. Mm-hmm. They come out and see you now, and they'll get you the help you need. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, that is it, really. I think it's about getting people to call a crisis team and to rely on the other fantastic organisations. And we're not a crisis team, we're not a crisis service. But there's so many things like shout and stuff. Yeah. Like there's stuff you can do.
You've mentioned him a few times. Why do men? Because I think men are impulsive and they just go fuck it and they do it. And I think that's the reason why more men do it.
I think for me, I think it's kind of the mode of the chosen. So it becomes, but then don't get me wrong, I think majority of overdose attempts are women.
Okay.
And I think it's the way that they've chosen to kind of end their life. And I think it is, for me, I've come across a lot more men who've attempted it through the groups I go to, through my interactions that I have. And I think it is that. And I think sometimes you never know that the person you're talking to is attempted to take their own life. And I think it is that. I think it is it's not like you wear a badge that identifies you.
Are people open to talk about it?
Yeah, I think sometimes some people get to it. I think a lot of people, the ones where they've messed up and things have gotten really bad, they want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Like, they want to talk about it because I think it's like they trying to prevent people from doing it.
Yeah.
Because there was a lad not long ago, he'd crashed his car and like killed someone, or he seriously hurt him. I think I can't remember now. But then it took years for it to go around, and he had a brain injury, and he's locked up now. But like I think it's like the impact of it. He was trying to take his own life, but he ended up affecting other people on it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he heard anybody talking about, because one of the things I used to think about is, I could just drive my car into that lamppost. But then instantly, as soon as he heard anybody talking about trying to commit suicide but with your car, he's like, no, please don't. And he's like really angry about it. Please don't. Don't. Like, and I think it was very much him. I think it can be, it's really hard, like, and it's not my story to tell, but I think it is I think it is the bit of it that, like, I don't know, it's scary.
It's tough, Shane, because you've got to give people the space to tell their story, and it's really hard not to judge, because you just look at your own family, and if that happened to somebody, a family member, well, you just want to kill them, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? You'd be really kind of angered about that. I guarantee everybody would think the same, because that's how we think, right, as human beings.
Oh, yeah.
And to not judge and listen and give them the space to do that and kind of feel for their situation, that must be quite hard as well.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, like, certain scenarios happen with me. Like, when I'd fucked up the reason why my lassie wanted to take a break, like, that day, I'd been driving my car that I literally picked up like 2 days before, and a van went into the back of me on the Spire Bridge, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, God, here we go. So I got out of the car and I saw the lad. It was a young lad as well, and it was a works van. And he's like, I'm really sorry, mate. I was trying to text my lass, I've just finished work. I'm really sorry. And I looked at my car and it had like a tiny little scratch. I looked at his van, it looked fine, and I went, are you all right? And he went, I went, I'm all right. And he went, what? And I went, he said, we can ring my gaffer. I went, no. I was like, mate, I'll get rid of that and that's fine. Mm-hmm. I was like, just be safe getting home. Don't touch your fucking phone. will you? And like, he gave me a cuddle, and then he went off on his way. And like, I think for me, I would have acted massively differently to that, and I would have been like, oh, for fuck's sakes, and kicking off. But
Yeah.
I think for me, I'd gone, do you know what? Like, it's okay, mate. And I went and got in my car, and I got myself off and went into the session. So I think it's like a little bit of it. It's like having a little bit of, I mean, it could have gone differently. It could have been, my car could have been massively damaged and stuff, and I could have been injured, but it didn't at the end of the day.
But it's how you're carrying yourself. Because I always use like the 1 to 10. If you're walking around on a 7, that's a different story, do you know what I mean? But if you're walking around on a 3, I think you've kind of managed that issue quite well there.
Yeah, I think it was like, for me, it's like, it's a tiny little scratch. Like, my excess is like 250 quid. Like, nah. Like, I don't want to go to the insurance as much as I want to ring his gaffer.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like,
100 quid fix.
you know
or
what I mean?
something,
And make
yeah.
it a massive issue for him, and he potentially loses his job over the fact that he's crashed a van. Like, he's looking at the front of the van, he's probably crashed it a few times. So like, I don't want to be the reason that kid loses his job, and like, if he's got kids or whatever, and he's unable to provide for his kids, and it becomes a massive problem. You know what I mean? That's what afterwards I'd kind of gone through my head, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, I don't know, I think being a little bit, showing someone else compassion is really easy. I think for me, it can be the easiest thing you can do, is just giving someone your time and realising that they probably value it a lot more than you realise. And I think it's something we lack nowadays, especially like Sunderland is a reason I live here, as in not just because I moved down here with my ex, it's that I love the place. Like, I love the bones of the people that live here. Like, I think some of the nicest people I've met, don't get me wrong, some arseholes, but like, you get that everywhere. But I think it's some of the nicest people I've met who would give you the shirt off their back. And like, I think that's where I want to help make this community a little bit better, and like, to give people spaces to come.
So going back to childhood, when did you realise that you had you had some issues?
So I think for me, it was kind of like, obviously through all the bullying and stuff at school, my self-esteem probably been in the bucket. My mum was a little bit of a attention seeker when it came to taking me to the doctors and stuff. So she used to take me to the doctors a lot, and I think they kind of got sick of it. And then my schoolwork and stuff, I started struggling in school, and so they sent me to a psychologist. I remember Dr. Starr.
Was your mum trying to fix you? Is that the reason why she took you
No,
to the doctors?
it
Was she
for
concerned
her.
about you?
It was for her to be able to see a doctor. So she'd spend a couple of minutes talking about me, but then talk about herself.
Okay.
And it was like, it was a way for her to get in front of the doctor and stuff. And I think it's very much she kind of changed doctors all the time because she didn't get what she wanted. And I think it's the way she was. And I think I did used to hold a lot of anger towards that.
It's hard looking back and saying that now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean,
because you kind of go on, you know, you've affected my childhood because of the way you act.
And to be fair, I was in front of a psychiatrist, and I went to see her for maybe like 6 months. I was going every week, missing out on school to go and see the psychiatrist, and they did stuff like sending me to physios to do like mindfulness and stuff, and like in trying to help me. And I remember being told I had depression, and it was a common thing, and they tried to give me ways. But I remember being 12 and writing a note basically saying I was going to kill myself. I didn't know how I was going to kill myself, but I'd written a note saying I was. And I very quickly ripped the note up, but that was the first memory I have of me being suicidal and thinking, do you know what, I'm just better off not here. I thought for a very long time I wasn't going to be 35. I didn't think I was going to be over 30. Like, I'm going to be 40 next year. I didn't think I was going to be here. Yeah. And I think because I'd always thought there was something not quite right. And don't be wrong. Yeah, I think it was, I'd felt like that I was broken. I wasn't right. I think when I joined the Navy and stuff, it kind of gave me a little bit of a purpose. But before that, I remember struggling with girls and stuff, and I had a girlfriend in that, but then she cheated on me and stuff, and I'm thinking it's like,
good thing turns the bad.
Yeah, and I was like, and it was very much like I'd very much been like, at one point I was like, am I gay? Like, am I gay? And I was like, and I'm not. Like, I'm not. And I think it's like the bit of it that I just thought was something not right about me.
I think it's because people have pushed your self-esteem to be so low that you start doubting who you are.
Oh yeah, and I think
Your
massively.
identity's not there, you know.
And I took the Navy did massive things for me, as in the reason I'm okay talking to people and talking in front of people is I used to do like command briefs and stuff, so I'd be in front of the captains and stuff, talking about stuff, and so I was getting quite good at public speaking. I used to hate it, but I think I'd gotten quite good at public speaking, and part of my job was like searching for radars, and when a missile came up on the screen, like on the bandwidth thing, I used to blow a whistle and have to scream out where the missile was in the direction, or like the radar or whatever, and so it kind of got me out of my comfort zone, and I made some cracking mates, people who I know, I haven't spoken to them in years, months. Some I probably haven't seen in a decade, but I could pick the phone up and ring them, and they talk to me.
Yeah.
And it'd be all right.
Yeah.
And and I think it is that, and I think it is we had community, and I think I was talking about this the other day, with someone that there's a lot of people, like James doesn't consider himself a veteran. He fucking is though. He was in the RAF, and he ended up leaving before he finished his training. He was back. In stupid story, anyway. But anyway, he doesn't consider himself a veteran. I'm a veteran. Dave and Laura, Dave, who runs the Military Veterans Football Club, he's a veteran. He runs community groups. Lyndon, who runs Be Brave Counselling, he's a veteran. Like Ant McDermott, everything he does, like connecting for good and stuff, he's a veteran. Like there's so many veterans around here trying to bring communities together and trying to. Jur, who runs Veterans in Crisis, like one of the biggest veterans organisations here, and like he started off with a phone in Greg's, and I think it's trying to create communities where we've lacking them, because we used to have mess squares and stuff, like we go down to mess and have a chat with the lads, you know what I mean, or go out for a pint, and like when you always knew there'd be someone around. I think it's that, and when you leave the forces, you become a little bit disconnected. Some of us do it intentionally so you don't fall into the trap of going back. And but then it feels too late by then. And as an extremely good lad, Russ, I know him as Sticky. His surname was Stamp. But he's a director of the Military Veterans Football Club. And I didn't know he lives in Pennywell, and he didn't know I was in Barmstown. And we bumped into each other at Armed Forces Breakfast Club a couple of years ago. I was walking in, the first one I've been to the Beacon, and I walked in, and there's fucking Russ in front of me. What the fuck are you doing here, Sticky? And he's like, what are you doing here, 40? And I'm like, fucking hell. And then I found out he'd been living in Pennywell, and I knew they ended up working at the same firm he worked at. And I was like, no way. So he took a selfie and sent it to some of the lads, including my C-Dad, which is like you get a dad given to you when you join. And then so he sent it to him, like a picture of me and that. And it turns out a few of the lads I know from the Navy go to the groups and stuff, like the football groups. And I think it is. I think it is the community side of things. I think we're trying to build little communities, giving us a safe space to go to ourselves. And I think some people doing some fantastic things. And we're not all veterans, don't get me wrong, but I think there's a lot of us that are trying to change the face of how we deal with things around here.
I think veterans as well, I mean, it's a pragmatic attitude as well, because that's what you're used to doing. You get things done because you have to get things done. And I think that's it. But this kind of give you purpose, and I can tell straight away you're smiling about it. You know what I mean? You kind of, your body language is changing. You're uplifted. Why? Because you've been through the trenches together, so to speak. And I think that you can't cheat that. That takes time, and that takes just being around people and graft. You know. Yeah,
that's it. And as an exceptionally good lad, he's not related to me because his surname is Knox as well. But he's called Tom Knox, and he used to be safeguarding at the Beacon, but he's in a school now. But he volunteers for space, and he's running the sessions right now while James is off on his paternity leave. But I love Tom at Bones with him. And he left the army, and one of the first things he did was come and volunteer at space. And he's a mint lad. You know what I mean? I think it's if I hadn't gone to those groups, I wouldn't have met the lads that I've met, in having that backup that I know I can turn up on a Saturday morning and there'll be a few of us there going for a walk and just have a chat about now. And I can bring my kids along and they just go off on their scooters and come back and try and terrorise the lads talking about Minecraft. I think it's that community. You know what I mean? And I think it is the little bits of a reprieve. And I think sometimes we do get stuck just looking at the bad, and there's some good going on. You know what I mean? And and like I'm gonna have to listen to everybody going on about bloody Sunderland being in the Premiership again. Like, and I think it's like, but I'm not a football fan because I'm from Aberdeen, and not a chance. Not like I've done years of abuse because of that, like years of abuse watching them go up and down. And I think, but yeah, no, I think it's like it's definitely that. But it's good seeing the lads' mood lift, especially when someone is doing well. Like I think it is especially the whole city. It's mad.
Yeah,
like I think it's
completely. It's funny how like we kind of met the army guys through what you're doing now.
Yeah.
There seems a common ground in both of these areas as well.
Oh yeah.
That mindset, doing something and volunteering and helping out and wanting to be a part of a community, and that's kind of what you just did. But it was already a community. It was called the Navy. Do you know what I mean? You just joined that community, didn't you?
Yeah, and we had a peer support group, which was a mess that we had to live in.
Yeah.
So it was like we had to go in there, and there'd be a crappy TV with like 1 or 2 channels on it, and like we'd be drinking all night. And it was like we had like, because I lived mostly in an 18-man mess, so I had 18 lads that I treated as family, in a wider extended family of 130 odd people who were my family.
Yeah.
And I think it's that bit of it.
And going through all of that, obviously that might help you in how you do and live your life now. Obviously you've had a few wobbles, but clearly the Navy stuff kind of give you some skill sets, some new skill sets to get through stuff?
I think a little bit. Don't get me wrong, some of it's the wrong way, as in alcohol. I think we were very, I remember being 17 and first proper stop in Marmaris in Turkey, and basically being out for like 48 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like we went back to the ship for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, I think.
Like blowing off steam, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like we're out, and like, and it was like, but it was constant. So we'd be straight off the gangway and straight to the nearest pub, and it became a bit of a thing of all we really did. But then there were certain lads who I met, like Hickey, Dave Vixen, he taught me about gambling. So we used to do a thing. So back then, we'd take £1 and we put 10 pence on 10 horses, and then whatever you won, you'd use in the next races. But if you didn't win anything, then that was you done. So you're only using that £1 or your winnings.
Yeah.
And you never added anything into it. And then, so he taught me about that.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't put anything on more than that.
Yeah.
Because I've got a very addictive personality, and like, and I've like, someone flash up me and I'll pay it, done.
Yeah.
And like, but then like that taught me about gambling, and not to, could see the other way it went. Like I know a lad who went to the casino the night we got paid, or the day before we got paid, because he got it in at like 10 o'clock, went to the casino, lost his full wage in the one night.
Yeah.
Went to an overdraft out the next day and went and lost that.
Yeah.
And like, I got payday loans and that, and my dad bailed me out.
Yeah.
Because it was through the drink.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was just drinking my wage.
Do you say there's a correlation between addictive personality and ADHD? OCD?
Yeah, I think so. I think boredom was a lot of it though.
Okay.
I think a lot of it back then, I think it was not having anything else to do.
Yeah, thrill seeking, and then this is good.
Yeah, and like back then, like mobile phones and that, as much as we had mobiles and that, I used to lock my mobile in my locker, like when we're away, because I would see you don't get a signal. And then when you're overseas, there wasn't like having tariffs and stuff to use them overseas, and signal was crap anyway. And like, so I barely had a phone. And I think it was like, it was freeing a little bit, but then I think it is still, like some of the situations I got myself in, like honest, I think like some crazy stuff that me and the lads got up to, and that like in taxis with holes in the floor in Mumbai and stuff, and like in hanging out windows, like high-fiving each other and that, and like in riding the back of wagons and stuff, and like just daft stuff that, and I think it gives me so many good memories that I can hold on to them and go, you know what, and like, and if the lads saw this, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, and I think it is but then there was the lows, like a really good friend, Devs, Chris Devlin, he died through an accident, and we were in Rome on the way home, and we rented a flat, and we were all kind of like living in this flat for like, I think it was like a week or something, we were going to stay there. And we'd been out on the piss, and we were coming back, and we split off. So some of us wanted to go get big eats, like a kebab or something, try and find something. in the middle of nowhere in Rome. Like, it wasn't happening. And then he went back off to the apartment with someone else. And being a scouser he is, he didn't have the keys because we had the keys. He tried to climb out of a window and climb in another one, and he fell and he hit his back on a railway siding thing, and he died. And he was only, I think he was like 23, 24. Really young. But I was younger than him. And like, I think it's like it was that impact of, he was there 1 minute and he's gone the next. And like, being in a foreign country when that happened, it was hard. Because instantly, like, we're trying to get neighbours to come and help us and stuff. And then the ambulance crew came and one of the lads went in with him and we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was happening. The next thing, the police were at the door, questioning us with one of the neighbours translating for us. And then we all got taken to the cells and stuff, but we didn't get locked up. We just held at the police station. And that's, and then the embassy came and got us and took us back to the ship. But then it was like we'd left all being out enjoying ourselves, and this was on the way back from being off the coast of Iraq and stuff, and it's when the bad accidents happened, like on the way home. And we always say it's kind of like, it's the most dangerous part for us is the on the way home, because
Complacent.
or just letting off too much steam.
Yeah, doing silly things
And
because you're
things
excited,
like
aren't you?
or driving the whole way from Plymouth to Montrose. Like, it was another lad, he died fairly on in my career. I heard about it, we joined up together, like we'd all joined up at the same time. We're in the same kind of groups when we were going through. And so he was driving home at the weekend. So he tried to drive all the way through. And he probably would try to drive on one go, and he fell asleep at the wheel. Gone. I think it's those little decisions that sometimes can get us. And
well, I mean, it sounds like you've got some really good, solid life experience to kind of help other people. Clearly, you're going through stuff. You have been through stuff, and I'm guessing that's probably the best person to help others is somebody who's lived a little bit of a life and has been through some stuff. Do you think that's
definitely? I think lived experience is really helpful. You don't have to have lived experience, though. I had this conversation in a group session the other week because someone had said, because we got a couple of psychology students who come and volunteer, and this lad, he'd come and he's got quite serious mental health issues, and he quite blankly just said, well, but you don't have mental health issues, do you? And I was like, whoa. I was like, he doesn't have to have a mental health issue to be here. I was like, and he's just literally told you he failed one of his exams. He's got his exams in general, so he's going to be anxious over having exams. Like, he's failed one of the exams, so he's going to have the stress and the anxiety about the fact he needs to resit it. I was like, he doesn't have to have a mental health diagnosis to say that he's feeling stressed or anxious. And I looked at him and I was like, is that correct? And he was like, yeah. And I looked at him and went, you don't have to have a mental health condition to be here and listen to someone and try and help them. Like, it's not a thing. It's not a thing, but it definitely helps. It definitely helps if you're the person facilitating, if you're the person that's kind of like, because a lot of it is asking the right questions as well. Like, people have told me that I make it look easy, and James makes it look easy. It can be hard sometimes to think of the right thing to say. But then a lot of times it is about distracting a little bit. But then it's where people can come along, volunteer, and then a few sessions in, they'll be asking questions as well, and like jumping in and kind of like. But then our group in the Beacon, I can set it off, and they'll just move on, and I'll maybe interject a little bit, and other people interject. But sometimes people are talking, I won't even say a word because everybody else has jumped in, and kind of, and that's that peer support side of it. Something I'm passionate about it is that like, they're very much knowing that someone else has been in your shoes or in similar shoes, or even knows someone who's been in those shoes, can be really helpful. Sometimes, like, there was a lad who'd never even heard of the carer centre. He was really struggling with caring responsibility, looking after his mum, working from home and caring for his mum. He didn't even know what the carer centre was. And like, I was like, you ever heard of the care centre, mate? And I was like, and I'd give him the phone number and told him to ring him. Like, I don't know yet if he's like, because I've not been back to space since. But like, I don't know. I'm hoping he rang them, and like, and you would have got some support. And I think it is that. I think it's sometimes it's knowing where to signpost to.
Yeah.
But then if I don't know where to signpost you to, I'll find someone who will. And I think that's very much the ethos that I have with my volunteers and my facilitators. If you're struggling to think of something for someone, at the end of the session, ring me. Like, text us.
Yeah.
Like, I'll reply. Like,
yeah, because you can't clock off when you leave, because that's what you left in the first place, is something like that.
yeah.
You've got to be there.
Yeah.
You've got to be supportive, but you still need some boundaries as well.
Oh yeah, and I think that's where on our webpage we do have a signposting page. So everybody they're all kind of, it's not checked and vetted, but they're all people I know and trust.
Yeah.
That they do what they say on the tin. And so it's kind of like, I need to update it actually, because there's a few that aren't on there. But it's like, it's very much that it's kind of listed in services, so it's places you can get help from. And not necessarily crisis help, it could be anything. It could be you need some help around your finances, or you need some help getting your business started up. Like, it is things like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think it is the little bits of it that sometimes if you're trying to deal with something alone, it can be really hard. But then if you come and have a chat with us, or any of us, any of the lads I know from Space as well, like around Andy's Man Club, or like anybody, like there's so many people in this city to go and talk to.
Yeah.
And I think it's just knowing where to go. And that's a lot of the fight at the minute, is getting the word out and getting people knowing that we exist.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. Like, I had someone today turn around and say, "Oh, I've heard of yous." I went, "Fantastic." I was like, "I'm good."
I've seen your banners on the bridges.
Yeah, banners are on the bridges.
So,
We've got a roundabout at, next to Curry's in Deptford. We got some funding to do that, so we've got our signage on the roundabout and stuff. And so we do a lot of things, like sticking posters up and little stickers, QR code stickers down.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a thing at the minute because people are putting up fake QR codes and stuff, so it's hard with that.
Yeah.
But then I've got thousands of them, so as soon as I take them down, I put them back up.
Yeah. I mean, I think, obviously social media is a good thing, but social media, you've got to get the algorithm for anyone to push you. That's a problem. But everyone drives to work, and if you're in someone's eye line every single day, I think it's just daily reminders are really helpful.
Well, when I was picking roundabouts to tell you, like, the amount of vehicles that pass it, and every week there's 700,000 cars go past that roundabout. So even, like, I had a conversation, someone said, "Oh, it's quite small, like, what's on them?" And I went, "Yeah, but next time they go past, they'll be able to read an hour bit. And next time they'll be able to read an hour bit." And there's the four of them, they're all different in a little bit of a way. So it's like, it's a little bit it is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just finish, just a message to anybody out there, anything you want to say.
If you want to have a chat with us or anything, you can find us on Facebook, our website. We're not a Statistic Northeast. You Google us now and you'll find us. We're on LinkedIn as well. We've got a big presence on LinkedIn. I would say, if you think or you know anybody who would like to come along to our groups, reach out, or just come along. You don't have to register. Completely free, and really hope that if you feel like you need to come and talk to us, that we'll see you at some point.